to another edition of What's the Story? There are so many stories in this area. So I'm glad that you're tuning into the People Chronicles. To find them, make sure you like us on Facebook if you haven't already, and certainly follow us on YouTube so you don't miss any of these wonderful tales. And this next tale is with Laurie Rhodes. And Laurie, you and I met at Cups of Compassion here on Penn Street in downtown Reading for the first time.
Correct.
And it was interesting to me because Cups of Compassion was an event that was set up on Penn Street, a couple blocks, and serving the people of Reading, serving anybody who needed anything. And there you were right in the middle of it, and you were serving the pets. And I thought, oh, this is unique. And then you said something to me about the soul. What did you say?
Well, there's such a connection with pets and their people. And,
Yeah.
and in taking care of the pets, you're also feeding the soul of not only you as the giver, but the recipient as well. And I've found through doing this that many people, they'll take their last dime to provide for their pet. They will take their last bite of food to provide for their pet. And started in fall of 2014 with coming into the city with actually food for people, warm clothing for people, and going out to the tent cities throughout the county as well.
That's what you were doing.
That's what
Tending
how
to
this
the
all
people.
started. I've done rescue of animals for decades, and this has always been something that I've thought was going to happen, but I kept waiting till everything was in place with a physical location and such. Then realizing I could be mobile and still addressing the needs of those. I mean, there's not just low income, but there's people that are experiencing life's challenges, whether it's financial
Yep.
problem, a health crisis, the veterans, the elderly, and for many, this is our only lifeline. This is what they have. So we're out there trying to care for them through their pets.
When you were coming into Reading in 12, 14, in that time frame
Right.
to help people, is that when you discovered this really strong connection with their pets? They weren't letting that pet go.
Right. And animals have always been my passion, so it was just seemed like that was the next logical step to take to start aiding their pets as well. So there was, like, under one of the bridges, there was a man with a pit bull that we took a coat to and pet food to. I have a cat that is now mine, that woman living in the woods, 29 years old, saw the cat being beaten here in Reading. And while she had nothing, knew that wasn't what was supposed to be happening with the cat. So she took him in. So she wound up giving him to me, and he lives with me now. And his name is Coleman because he was living in a tent. But that kind of thing is just all too common. I get calls from individuals, and then also set up at different food banks throughout the county, throughout Schuylkill County and into Lebanon County as well, distributing about 1,400 pounds a month, and there's a waiting list that I have.
So you're describing people who are, I mean, all ranges of need, from somebody who's maybe having a difficult time putting food on their table to somebody who doesn't even have a table.
Correct.
But they have a pet. The pet is their lifeline.
Correct.
So they need to take care of that pet. And that's where you're stepping in.
Right. And in actuality, in many cases, in saving the pet, you're saving the person, because that may be the only companionship they have, their only lifeline.
Pets are our children in many cases.
Right.
I mean, if you ever had a pet and you lost a pet,
Right.
it's tough. It's just tough.
Right.
So that's family. That's family.
Exactly. And I've had, there's stories every time I go out, there's stories. And one of the last pantries there was a woman saying, who was in tears, saying, I had to relinquish my pets because I lost my job. And my income is half of what it was. And besides just being able to feed them, the veterinary bills and such, I had to give them up. And she was saying, thank you for what you're doing. Even though you're not helping me, you're helping other neighbors. And that's what needs to happen. And it's just very sad, the stories you hear of people that are experiencing things that they never thought they'd be in that situation. And there they are.
You bring to mind just the concept. I don't think, generally speaking, that when we think about being in a very difficult situation where it's hard to make any ends meet, that you think about a pet. I mean, you really jumped to that next level by being on ground zero, so to speak, and meeting with people. Then you had something. Is it a mobile unit? The Wellness Center for Pets and Their People.
Doing alternative healing is one of my passions, holistic care. I did have a physical location where we were doing that. We were teaching classes. I had professionals for pets and for people that were coming in and doing these things and teaching classes. All of this was to fund a mobile pet food pantry and transitional boarding at some point. Because of overhead, the money needs to be going directly to these people and to aiding these people. And the overhead was taking all that money. And so at some point we will have another physical location where we'll be doing the holistic care and we'll be doing teaching classes and such.
It makes sense. So you have a mobile pantry. How are people finding out about you? Because I know in my attempts to orchestrate, let's get together and talk about this, you're a very busy lady.
They find me through Facebook. The social media is the big way of getting the word out. The first church that jumped on board was Strausstown, which I live up in that area. Strausstown Blue Mountain, Zion Blue Mountain Church. Mm-hmm. And they were the first that acknowledged that there was a connection, why not take care of the people. Well, we are meeting those needs, but we also need to meet the needs of the pets as well. So set up there. And word of mouth is just, this is snowballed, and the magnitude of it, it's daunting. I had no idea the magnitude of what I was getting into.
When you said that first church was the first to acknowledge the need, was that in the very beginning a difficult sell, so to speak?
Oh, it was. And I still try to get in, and people don't understand. If they're not pet people, they don't necessarily understand the connection. But now that they see, and now I can tell them we're distributing 1,400 pounds a month, and it's a little easier now. But I've had directors of food pantries, I've called them and they've said, oh, I don't think so. Then they've talked to their volunteers and come back and said, oh, they've just told me that this person, that person's telling me how, oh, my pet's going to eat well because I got chicken tonight and I'll cook that off for my pet, and that kind of thing.
Oh my goodness. So people are actually going to the food bank and then
yes.
using that to feed their pets because they have nothing.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So I continue to try to get in. One of my goals is to get in with Meals on Wheels. There is a pilot program that started years back in Phoenix, Arizona, that is the mainstay of what they're doing, is they get the food out through Meals on Wheels, through the volunteers delivering. So that's one of the goals once we have a continual flow of donations.
And how are you getting that to happen? I mean, you shared a story of a young woman who found herself homeless and wouldn't do anything without the pet.
Right. Well, the shelter system does not allow pets, whether it's a domestic violence situation, whether it's pets are not allowed. Mm-hmm. A lot of people go to extremes and will become homeless, will be on the street because they're not going to give up their pet. Mm-hmm. That needs to change, and that's one of our goals, is to become, to provide transitional boarding, so that when somebody goes into a temporary situation, whether they're a veteran going to the VA or someone who is experiencing homelessness, that there is a place for their pets to go, so that when they come out of the hospital, that they can get their pet back. But at this point, there's a program where they can go for basically 30 days, but if they're 32 days.
You've just identified the personification. You are the personification. Did you ever hear, there are no problems, only solutions? Did you ever hear that saying?
Yes.
I've heard that. You personify it because you've hit, you can't get in a shelter, you need the pet. So you saw the problem, but you didn't say it's a problem. You said, here's a solution, transitional housing.
Right.
Or pet sitting.
And everyone can do something, and everybody, whatever their passion is, and that's just where I've found my passion, my calling, and I'm trying to, and it's not me, I'm facilitating, but it's neighbors helping neighbors, because it's, I have to knock on doors for donations. I'm not nonprofit yet, so I'm out there pounding the pavement, getting people to donate, individuals to donate, neighbors helping neighbors. It's a community effort. It's not me. It's just, I'm putting it all together.
You are perhaps the lightning rod to motivate others to say, yeah, okay, I can come up with some extra cat food or some extra dog food, or whatever the case may be. Professionally, you're a pet sitter.
Yes.
So some of the word is spreading that way.
Yes.
And you're working on a 501c3, is that correct?
The initial paperwork has been submitted, but that process will take another year or so. So until then the doors open, because then grant money is available. Mm-hmm. Large businesses will donate because they can write it off. At this point, that's not the case. So small businesses are supporting what I'm doing, and individuals are stepping up and, donating.
And I like the last thing you said. Neighbors are helping neighbors.
That's what it is.
Now, you told me you're leaving here and you're going to go visit somebody in Reading who's
Yes.
taking care of, I want to say, a mini herd of cats, and it's probably not even called a herd, is it?
It's a feral cats, stray cats that
but
she's
she's taking
caring
care
for.
of those.
And she herself is in need, but I met her at Cups of Compassion. And there's about 30 cats on her block that are strays and are in need. So she feeds, even though she herself doesn't have. So I've got cat food to drop off to her. And a lot of the calls I get are individuals telling me about other individuals. A lot of people don't want to tell you that there's pride, there's humiliation, there's embarrassment. A lot of people don't want to tell me when I do the events, and if I run out, I say, if you want to let me know where you live, I can drop things off. They don't want to have to make excuses for the way they're living.
Right.
So
Right.
oftentimes people will walk away and then they'll turn around and come back and say, you know what, I really do need, if you don't mind, do I have to be there? No, and I just drop it on the porch and I leave because they don't need to explain to me. They're in need and that's it. And I've had people say to me, why don't you require paperwork? Why don't you require registration? It's not my place to judge. And in the end, even if there will always be people taking advantage of anything in life. That's just that. But in the end, an animal has a full belly, and we do warm clothing distributions, and somebody's warm. And it's basically myself. Within the last 6 months, I've had several volunteers step up that I can count on. They're becoming the backbone of what I'm doing, that will be there to, whether I'm short of donations, they go buy donations, whether within the distribution. To set up for a pantry takes about 3-4 hours because we have to rebag everything. We're not able to give people enough to get through the entire month, just enough to ease their burden. So there's a lot of time involved, and the phone does ring.
So certainly,
Often.
in addition to warming bellies, you're warming hearts in a very big way. There's a lot of neighbors listening right now. So on that note, with neighbors helping neighbors, how do we contact you if perhaps we can either assist in delivering some of the food or provide some of the food that you are delivering?
The best way is through Facebook. There's my page is the Wellness Center for Pets and Their People. My phone number is on there. The email address is on there. I need help picking up donations. I mean, time is something I have very little of. Help picking up donations, help distributing. I have a little 12-year-old girl who makes duct tape pens and wallets. She herself comes to the
Really?
food pantry, for me to fundraise, and I've raised about $200 that way. She's now started crocheting. I have some auctions on Facebook right now. She's started crocheting cat toys, any craft projects she can do to raise money. But she comes to the food pantry, and she also has pets, and she benefits from that. And at 12 years of age, she wanted to help and give back. So there's so many things that you can do. Everybody can make a difference, and everybody can help in whatever your passion is.
I'm hearing that, and in whatever your capacity is, you can help. So again, it's the Wellness Center for Pets and Their People Facebook page. You can find out more about it. And all of these steps lead to the bigger step of making it a nonprofit in all of its right, and then that opens even more doors.
Correct.
You're opening doors and warming hearts, and I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you sharing this story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Want to know more about who's doing what in Berks County? Check out the stories on thepeoplechronicles.com.
These community stories are made possible in part by BCTV, Susie Ray Design, Queen City Family Restaurant, Lamar Advertising, Heidelberg Family Restaurant, Reading Air, Lions and Hole, Peanut Bar, and Kutztown University.